That time I got reincarnated as a charming demon by ParadexTM. Scarlet Bonds 2. One of the girls lying on the bed woke up from her blissful state thanks to the voices in the room. Without saying a word, the fully naked woman stood up and went to Sophie, who still sat on the wooden chair. Sitting down on the ground right in front of the demoness while resting her head on one of her thighs as if it was a holy thing to do. Once again, this scene made Servius sure in one thing, that those girls were completely submissive towards Sophie while she saw her as toys or even objects. It has been just a few days, what a truly terrifying being. Yet he was surprised that Sophie casually patted the girl's head, which resulted in her seemingly feeling relieved and happy to be at another female's feet. How should I explain such a situation to their guardians? No, that's not important now. Servius thought, remembering the question he had received from now suddenly blue shining eyes. Servius remembered what he had read in one of Fortune's books about the eighth unknown primordial that yet was respected in their ranks. Which was a hefty feat, as a demon would simply be killed mercilessly by even calling or hinting their names without respect. Her eyes turned blue. The wine must be to her taste. I'm lucky once again in this life, Servius thought and sighed, relieved as he answered. I greet the one who stands on top of all, your majesty our queen. Sophie's blue eyes narrowed down at the fragile-looking human and his silly words, even though when she has already accepted and long gotten used to being referred to as a higher being, she answered, don't be so stiff, and more importantly, don't waste my time. Even though spoken softly and with a voice bewitching one's head, Servius felt scared of the pressure coming from such soft lips. It was as if an invincible pressure pinned him down. I came here to deliver information about Rimuru Tempest's arrival at the castle. I see, Sophie answered. I had a hunch, as it was an obvious event of the story, but to think it was this early on. Or is it already late? If I just would have read the story, As always, the demoness regretted being reincarnated too early. After arriving at Raja's Castel, I got dragged into just another meeting again. Work seems to be stacking lately. You've chosen yourself to help Raja, Raphael answered, saying it's my own fault. You clearly got more refined, don't lie to me. I said confidently. This time, Raphael won't get away. It's just your imagination, as this was my true form from the very beginning, Raphael answered. As if. I shouted internally. Raphael sighed heavy. Rimuru-sama. Rimuru-sama. Shien's voice dragged me out of my conversation with Raphael. Well, I already felt like it ended anyways. Is she annoyed now? Why yes, Shien. I smiled awkwardly as I hadn't listened to the conversation. It's not like me, but we've long finished the important stuff. It's just Ramirez fooling around with the ministers that I ignored them for my well-being. Should we go see Queen Tawa now? Shien asked with a smile on her face. Upon looking around the room, it seemed like a new person had entered the room. It was the royal doctor who had given his approval of the meeting. Rimiri, have you finished now? I asked, looking towards the fairy and trainee, who still tagged close to her queen. Obviously Rimuru. Ramirez shouted and seemed to be proud of her as much as she was sticking out that puny chest of hers. Well, then you can go back now, right? I asked, smiling. But, if you go back to Tempest and look over Veldora, I might give you an exclusive volume, I said, smiling with a smug look. I'll accomplish this task successfully, Rimuru. Ramirez saluted. Go on, trainee, let's go immediately towards special volume, Yes, my lady, trainee said, and both disappeared with falling spiritually created leaves that disappear a few seconds afterwards on their own. What a spectacle for a simple teleportation. Ramirez is dirtying my clean trainee. Very well, let us go to Her Royal Majesty's place now, one of the ministers says, and we all went through the floors of the castle. Ever since we landed here, I felt kind of weird. Not the fact that I already know that this kind of poison could not come from a simple mine. I've detected a lot of magicules all around of the city. Humans shouldn't be able to give off this much. I don't know what's going on in her mind since she's met him. Hiro sighed as they were talking and added, please, Rimuru-sama, do your best to help my queen. Him? Who do you mean? I asked, confused. Was it that he didn't know who the person was, or is he hiding it on purpose? Looking at him closely, he's seemingly worried. Raphael, what do you think? I asked. Notice. Can't identify any abnormal statuses, Raphael answered. So Hiro, you We're here." The doctor ignored our conversation as he opened a large, fancy decorated door, revealing a bedroom darkened by the curtains. Upon looking into the room, it seemed like the grains of dust floating in the air, caught by the few rays of light that escaped the curtains, seemed to have stopped moving. For a second the world stopped moving as I looked into blue shining eyes as if they were a pair of blue moons. Why's she here?" I thought, surprised, as suddenly a wave of magicules reached my skin, a tickling feeling as magic sense was passively activated. "You! Get away from her!" Hiro shouted and already had his sword in his hands, rushing towards the person I've only once seen at the Walpurgis. I could see her red lips moving, yet I did not understand anything. Why am I not moving? It was then that Hiro was stopped in his tracks by what seemed to be darkness. He was pressed into the ground, breaking the stone floor with his face. He couldn't say anything under the pressure, yet he wasn't injured in any way. "Rimuru-sama, I'll protect you," Shion shouted, but the individual disappeared on the spot, which confused everyone in the room excluding the ministers and doctors as they've fled already. I can still feel her presence in this room. Is this shadow movement? But what's her plan? I can't feel anything dangerous coming from her. "Raphael, are you here? Why aren't you doing something about this?" I asked. Sensed no danger or evil intentions coming from the individual in question, came to the conclusion it was to be the safest to remain straight-headed. "Master," Raphael answered. "Are you still mad about what happened before the human monster conference back then? I didn't mean that you were annoying me with your reports. Just do something, Alri." It was in that second that she appeared in front of me again. I stared down into two red-colored eyes. It seemed as if her eyes were hypnotizing as the color moved slowly within them. She moved her head closer. Why am I feeling nervous? What's this? Her head now was right next to mine. Hitch. I let go a surprised-like sound as I felt her warm breath tickling at my ear. "It's not the right time for us to meet yet, Rimuru," she spoke slowly in deep voice. I could feel how my face heated up. Wait, thermal fluxion nullification, how could I feel heat? But what was that smile on her reddened face? Did I see wrong? I thought. "Let's see each other again after you've finished this problem. I'm sure you know already, but there's someone behind the state of this kingdom, so I'll help you slightly. Go and search on the ground of the lake." That were her final words as she disappeared, but did she just lick my ear? I thought more as surprised. My head's temperature exploded as my face reddened completely. Is this imaginary smoke? Her sweet rose-like scent remained around my nose until lifted the skill effectively. "You are now free, Master. I'll analyze it in the meantime," Raphael said. Why do I feel like Raphael did this just to gain more information on her skills? I thought while I felt strangely out of breath as I fell to my knees. My body shook slightly and I could hear my heartbeat. No, obviously not, as I had no heart, or so I believed as I reminded her face. "Rimuru-sama. Where did she go to?" Shion asked. She seemed confused. Obviously, she wouldn't really comprehend as we moved faster than she could comprehend. All this happened just within seconds. I sighed heavily and relieved to some extent. Then I heard an unfamiliar voice ringing through the room. "I'm sorry, this guest of mine is someone even I can't handle, so excu." She coughed a few times. "Excuse me that this has happened," the person laying in the bed said. She must be Tawa then, I thought. "Raphael, please run a scan on her," I ordered while listening to her. "Even when it doesn't seem like this, she's the reason why I'm still alive even after using this many magicules," Tawa explained. "Can I ask who she was?" I asked curiously, but obviously, she just shook her head in denial. "I can't tell you that, I'm sorry." "Thank God you're okay, my queen." Hirohu got up from his own, kneeled down straight away after hearing her voice. It must have been hard on him for the time she passed out. Her illness seems to be a strong curse connected to her soul. Removal will be impossible as it results in the death of the individual inflicted with this curse, Raphael explained. "Is there really nothing we can do?" I asked. "Honey, we can help to regain magicules faster and weakening the curse a little with Apitos-produced honey," Raphael answered. Slowly the doctor and ministers came back as the danger left, and the ministers were happy to see Tawa while the doctor seemed strangely out of his posture. I decided to ignore it for now as treating Queen Tawa is prioritized. "If you would allow, I would like to help with your condition and the problem with the poison," I offered. Tawa seemed to think of it troubled but then nodded. You're brought here by her. Oh. Right. I trust him and his judge of character. And with that, a long day has just begun. I appeared in my room again after escaping that situation. What was this just now? Rimuru, since when? How come I feel like this even though I've seen this slime already at the Walpurgis? My smile grew. Interesting, Rimuru. Fufu, you're the third to let me feel like this in all these thousands of years, and that is a non-gender slime. PFFT, I thought as I was strangely attracted to that blue blob. Instantly the three girls that stayed in my room, still naked, swarmed me as they realized that I was back. They began to message me. Looking at their heart-filled eyes, I took one of them by their chin with a rough grip on which she let out a cute moan, and her eyes seemed even more lustful. You three, you are lucky that I'm in a good mood right now, or else I wouldn't have let you go with that aggressive attitude toward me. Let's indulge ourselves in the purest of states your body could be. Ecstasy, lustful ecstasy. I smiled until I once again let them pleasure me and in return let them feel heaven as I made a mess out of them one after another. I wasn't satisfied with this slime. I'll see you again, Rimuru, and if it's not then or the meeting afterwards, but at some day I'll make you mine completely. Scarlet Bonds 3. Rimuru was still unsure about the involvement of a primordial demon in all this. After all, he had just met Sophie, of whom he had only heard information about from Diablo. Still, it felt like Diablo only stated the obvious and had held back crucial information about her. Raphael seemed to struggle, even with enough magicules to test on. It made Rimuru feel uneasy about it. Is there an unknown skill ranking or anything similar that I and even Raphael are unaware of? Rimuru thought. Still, he decided to focus on the task in front of him. Proceeding to split the whole lake to walk on even ground to what seemed like the reason for the poison in the water, leaving everyone watching astonished and confused. So this is Raphael? Rimuru asked once again to confirm it. Positive, this is the quell of the poison, Raphael answered. It seems old. Did someone intentionally place it down here? For sure. Rimuru thought while stretching out his hand, already decided on what to do. Beelzebub, devour it all. He shouted and activated his ultimate skill. As Rimuru's ultimate skill activated, the ancient-looking something in front of him was devoured entirely together with the water of the lake to purify it from the poison, which led to innocent deaths. Queen Tawa, as well as Hiro and anyone else present, were surprised by Rimuru's deed and tried not to get swept away by a massive wave of water created by the release of all the stored water in Rimuru's stomach at once. Ehem, ehem. Tawa coughed as she accidentally swallowed some water. The water subdued, and the queen already knew that it was purified. A small smile appeared on her face, yet the sheer amount of relief and happiness she felt overwhelmed her as the others around her celebrated Rimuru's success. Soon, night came by, and cheers, songs, smiles, and dancing people all decorated the streets of Raja and even the courtyard of the royal castle. A small celebration with the finest alcohol was held to thank the Jura Tempest Federation. Unknown to all of them, this was not yet the end of their war against the mastermind behind the poison. Sophie, on the other hand, stood on the roof of Valerian's residence with a satisfied smile as she received reports of fortune arriving at Tempest. The demoness's blue eyes shined in harmony with the full moon raining the sky. These times would become more interesting than I thought. Fufufu, Sophie said to herself and continued to stare to the sky. What will you do next, Rimuru? Tawa seems to be a reliable leader, is what I thought after I consulted her with those burdensome feelings that she had. To think she thought of herself as a burden towards her subordinates. Anyways, Kukuku, I did quite a good job, right? Master is still as dense as ever, Raphael commented. You said something, Raphael-san? I asked. Negative. Raphael replied. I could swear you. Negative. It seems like it's just your imagination, Raphael interrupted me calmly. Rimuru-sama. Hiro called me out while doing a 90-degree bow in front of me. Thanks to you we could save this kingdom. How is Queen Tawa doing? His voice seemed kind of worried and sad. No way. Is Benimaru's brother interested in Queen Tawa? I thought and waved those thoughts off as they weren't important now. But why do I feel someone's sigh? It gives me goosebumps all over my skin. If I had normal human skin, that is. Ehem, Queen Tawa is resting now, and we'll return to as our help here is no longer needed. The curse on her should heal slowly as she eats this honey from time to time. I said, and summoned 3 bottles of honey to give it to Hero. His eyes basically shined like stars as soon as he took the bottles, while bowing and thanking me again. That was the end of a short adventure to a neighboring country of the Great Jura Forest. I used teleportation to get back to Tempest. There was no need to fly as it was just a waste of time, although it was a pleasant experience. But I have more essential things to do. Shuna, I called. Hi, Rimuru-sama. Shuna answered me with an ever-soft and pretty smile on her face while tilting her head slightly. Diablo told me that we have a rather unusual guest. Please inform Rigard that we've returned and tell him to come to the meeting room. Please tell the other executives too, I ordered. Shall I prepare tea for our guest and you, Rimuru-sama? Shuna asked while Sue took over the task of informing the executives on behalf of Shuna with a short, I shall inform the others then, as he always does. While Shuna went to inform Rigard about it personally and to prepare tea, I went to the meeting room carried by Xian in my slime form. Upon entering, I saw Diablo sitting on a chair and another demon facing him while sitting on the other side of the table. Diablo stood up and bowed slightly. Welcome back, Rimuru-sama. I hope your trip was to your utmost satisfaction. Ha! I won't ever be comfortable with that butler-like speech of his. I thought, slightly worried about Diablo's personality. Ehem. It was, I answered shortly, and he seemed to be shining. How pleasant to hear, Diablo said, smiling. Oh, so this is the slime I've heard so much about. The demon suddenly spoke. Why does he feel similar? Is it a friend of Diablo? Diablo's smile vanquished in a matter of a second, as his head turned to the demon. Oh my, was I wrong? I thought as I could feel the tension. Notice. Signs of mind manipulation found similar effects to that of the analyzed magicules of the individual named Sophie. Raphael told me as soon as her analysis ended. Diablo, by any chance is your friend over there caught up by any illusion spell or skill? I asked. Trough thought communication. Actually, Rimuru-sama. Sadly not. Oh, how I wished it was like that. What a beautiful world it is. The demon interrupted me surprisingly and added, my name is Fortune, nice to meet you, leader of the Jura Tempest Federation and ruler of Tempest, the country of monsters. The mood in the room turned instantly. It was as if he suddenly were a merchant experienced of thousands of deals. That's until Rimuru-sama. Rigard crashed the door while crying out my name in happiness, followed by the Dwarven brothers, Trainee, the Kijans, and Gobta. I jumped off Xian's arm into the only seat at the top of the table and transformed into my human figure. Sit down everyone, and you, Diablo, calm down. Shuna entered the room with the maids and then contributed tea to those around the desk. Oh my, what a rich and unknown flavor, not as good as it was from my queen, though I could only test it once, Fortune said with a hint of sadness while he sipped the tea and thanked Shuna friendly for the tea. I couldn't read this demon at all. The fact that I've let him sit there without question is because Diablo reassured me that he is no threat. Still, what was that earlier? Raphael, is there a possibility of overhearing others' thought communication? I asked. Positive. Such a skill could exist, but the chance of the individual named Fortune to have felt simple fluctuations in the magicules and master's behavior to come to the conclusion of the usage of thought communication is by 97%, Raphael answered. I've thought about Raphael's answer and come to the conclusion that it is better to be more cautious around Fortune with thought communication. After all, I revived all of my friends with just 3%. Ehem, now that we are all here, mind telling us why you've come here to see me? I asked while releasing Demon Lord's Haki. It was not surprising that he could withstand it without trouble. I've already guessed that this demon was strong as soon as I saw how he did the same as Guy at the Walpurgis with his aura. I shall introduce myself once again to the ruler of Tempest and everyone present, Fortune said and stood up, bowing his head a little. My name is Fortune, an archdemon of the pink lineage. I serve only one, and that won't change. I apologize for the sudden appearance, but I am here on behalf of my queen, the demon now revealed to be on the apex of his race said. Everyone present in the room was surprised, except Diablo and me, of course, but what I was interested in was pink lineage. I asked Fortune. Indeed, one of the 8 lineages of the underworld, the most honorable one and not comparable to maniacs like that of the other lineages, Fortune answered. I've never heard of the pink lineage before, Kaijan, the head blacksmith said, and the others nodded in agreement. I've ever known of the black, red, white, blue, green, yellow and purple lineages, Benimaru added. You wouldn't know of its existence as they never reveal it to anyone on the overworld. I wonder why. Maybe it's Little White's order, Diablo said, his voice sounding a bit playful, and as a result, he got Fortune's intense gaze on him. Little White. Do you mean the primordial Sophie with that? Earlier, I felt a similar feeling to you, Fortune, I asked into the room. The other executives began to chatter nervously among themselves. Primordial. He met someone like that. What should we do? Enough, please be silent for Rimuru-sama to talk to Sir Fortune. Rigard was the one to stop all the noise as he slammed the desk. Way to go, Prime Minister of Tempest. Not like rushing through doors crying like before, I thought, satisfied with his current attitude. Well, I gave him that position to dump all the tiring work to him, I shouldn't be too strict with him, I thought. As I heard, you've met my queen. Fortune said. Wait, what is that thriving and chilling demonic energy you were releasing right now? Xian, who stood behind me, took her blade out instantly, but before I could stop her silly action, Diablo clicked his tongue in anger. Tisk, as always, you thick-headed simp, the primordial demon said, annoyed while his demonic energy slowly grew too. Look who's talking, aren't you the same old man? Fortune answered. A vein appeared on Diablo's forehead out of anger, yet he didn't do anything. Wait, I thought demons are beings with a strict hierarchy. How come an archdemon talks like that to Diablo? Just who the hell are you really, Fortune? Now that we've cleared where you come from, let's head to the most important straight. What did you come here for? I asked, and with that, I broke the tension between those two demons. Fortune nodded. I came here for the help that Lady Sophie has promised you. The force behind the poisoning incident, to be precise. Help, I questioned as my thoughts rushed back to the time when that Butte demon toyed with me, but I thought the tip with the lake was already her way of helping me, Rimuru asked. I've been told to tell you the culprit of this ordeal and to lend you a helping hand if we would be rewarded with a place to stay at Tempest. Fortune outed the deal that Sophie had prepared. A place to stay here? I asked, surprised. Indeed, this is a monster country after all, right? In fact, I've been looking around this nice city myself before this meeting. It seems nice, but one essential place is missing. The district the pink lineage, would help you with. The red light district. Quote. A couple of cups shattered. Oh my, I must have lost my strength shortly, Shuna said as she dropped her tray. At the same time, Xian seemed to get more tense each second. Both of their gazes were on me. This meeting, I have a feeling it will be my grave.